Let's talk about the services for a moment. What's available in the way of shelter and food and other essentials to folks who are, say, the visibly homeless at this point in time? What services are available to them?
Well, the Poverello House serves 3 hot meals a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Okay.
And so typically Poverello reports that they see an increase in families walking through the doors, typically toward the end of the month. We've also seen a lot of additional outpouring of need through community food bank giveaways, whether it was on the west side strictly for those affected by the water crisis, or whether it has just been at the local church pantries that distribute food on a weekly basis.
Okay, and how about shelter? What's available in the way of shelter?
Shelter-wise, there are a number of programs. The Rescue Mission has overnight beds for adult men. There are half a dozen shelter beds available to families at the Rescue Mission. And then the Craycroft Youth Center is available for children who, through law enforcement issues, have been taken away and need a place to stay until they're housed into foster care. There are a couple of other safety nets, whether it is emergency housing that may be available through the Fresno County Social Services Department that may be available for those individuals. But those resources are really stretched thin.
Right. And it sounds like the demand far exceeds the supply.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And so with that in mind, talk about the city's 10-year plan to end chronic homelessness. If we have this problem where we've got way too many homeless folks for the services that might be available to help them out, then how does the 10-year plan to end chronic homelessness progress?
The 10-year plan is actually a city and a county plan. Both the City Council and the County Board of Supervisors have adopted the plan, and the plan is very simple. It calls for housing. We need to create housing opportunities for individuals who can afford it and continue to wrap services around an individual once they're in. Not necessarily substance abuse, because that seems to be the typical bed space available. I have a substance abuse problem. I check myself into rehab. In this case, we're really looking at keeping families and individuals intact. And then as they need services or want services, those services then wrap around them.
Okay.
The difficulty really right now is because we've now gone off this economic downturn and the cliff doesn't seem to have an end yet, we continue to see a lot of the safety nets cut. Continued cuts in AFDC and TANF and welfare benefits, continued cuts in our general relief, continued cuts in our Medicare. And those were a lot of the supportive services that used to be available to individuals who now continue to not be there. And that is also just perpetuating this whole issue. And so we continue to need to focus on providing housing and stabilizing our affordable housing stock for all individuals in the city and the county.
Okay, so you're talking about wrapping around services, but as those services become less and less available, that's a harder task to accomplish.
Well, the task can't be accomplished by one entity. The city can't do it alone. The county can't do it alone. And the 10-year plan clearly called for the community to come together. So one of the things that we've been spending a lot of time and really is working with the providers over the last year to kind of get them to a point where they understood that they needed one another. Many times providers got funding and held on to beds or services because they didn't want to let go of the client. And we've got to be able to integrate everything into one package. So I may need substance abuse today, and tomorrow I may need medical assistance. And those providers have to work together on a daily basis. Now the important part is to bring our faith community in and also our service clubs and organizations in so we can work together to continue to work on this problem.
So it sounds like your key role, or one of your key roles, is that coordination effort that may not have happened before. This sounds like it's new territory that
Absolutely.
we're
Absolutely. I spent probably the
here.
first 6 months just meeting with a lot of providers who never really talked to one another, who never really worked with one another, and trying to find linkages where there were just natural connections between those agencies. And also trying to figure out how the city and county could work better together. We both have gone through some very tough budget times. We still have tough budget times to go through, but there are connections that we need to continue to intersect our services, whether it's just a referral or whether it's closing the door and saying, no, this is not the appropriate referral to make, maybe it should go someplace else. And a lot of that continues to go on day to day. Our last piece that we really just need to focus on is really bringing now the community service agencies together, because they want to help. They just don't know how to help yet. And so that's our next task.
And do you see progress being made in that area?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've seen a tremendous growth. Many of the providers have now gone from transitional bedding to more permanent bed space. The Housing Authority has created its own homeless unit, bringing all of their homeless services under one manager. And that manager just came on just at the end of 2009. Okay. So I am seeing some tremendous outgrowth in this.
So it's a very large problem, but progress is being made.
Absolutely.
The public has heard about the $4.7 million, I believe it is, in federal funds that have come to the Fresno area to help address homelessness. How are those dollars being spent?
The homeless prevention and rapid rehousing dollars are strictly for housing. It is a very cumbersome federal project. The 9 subgrantees that the city has funded are all up and operational. The 3 county departments will be operational very soon. It is a combination of the city and the county working together. They got a portion of those funds, and we got a portion. Okay. But we came together. We had one single application for all the providers to go for. We used one single application for the clients. There are 2 entry points of contact for individuals seeking assistance, and we will continue to use those funds to house or keep in housing anyone who may be in a precarious position with their housing at this point.
And I know you personally visit those visibly homeless folks. I mean, men, women, and children who are living in their cars, living on vacant lots. You're out there trying to bring those services to them.
Yeah. I tell people when I talk to them, sometimes you may see me out on a median island or out somewhere on a corner, and that's typically what I'm doing. I'm trying to figure out what services need to come to that individual. Many of our providers have more of the you need to come to me, and we're trying to get them to go out into the community and deeper and find folks, whether it is in a park or whether it's on a street corner or whether it's in an encampment someplace within our city.
Okay. Greg, we're going to continue our conversation on another edition, but I want to thank you for being here today and chatting with us and bringing us up to speed on your homeless prevention and policy efforts.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Well, as I mentioned, this is a complex issue with far too many facets to cover in just the short time we've had. So Greg will be joining me again on our next program. I hope you'll check that one out and continue in the discussion as well. For now, I'm Randy Reed for Fresno CityVision. Thanks for watching.